So Douglas Rugby Club has got something a bit different, or certainly for the Isle of Man, a bit different coming up. You've got a rugby combine later this month on the 23rd of February. Can you give us a bit of background about this to start off with? Why have you decided to do something like this, and also explain to us what a combine is, what the nature of it is?
The combine's an idea I got from the NFL. They get all their athletes to come and test things like speed, power, strength, agility. And after coaching in one of the high schools a couple of years ago, I found that the basketball players, football players, hockey players, cricket players were picking up the sport really quick and doing really well for us. So I wanted to create something, a day where we could test that and get them involved in rugby.
So do you think the rugby clubs and maybe even the schools, I suppose, over here are missing out on some potential really good talent because they're not being attracted to the sport?
Yeah, definitely. I've kept in contact with a lot of the kids that I coached a couple of years ago, and they've left school now, and some of them are playing social football, some of them are not playing any sport at all, and it's because they don't have the confidence to turn up to rugby because they think it's always a big person sport. It's not necessarily that. Rugby's a sport of players of all different shapes and sizes or different skill sets, and it's just a matter of having that pathway, that development pathway. And this is what we want to do with this combine: is test where they're at and develop them from there, so they are ready to play senior rugby once they leave school.
I imagine something like last year's Rugby World Cup, when if they watched it, they will have seen the likes of Faf de Klerk playing. That probably will have helped, though, won't it, in some ways, to see, like you say, that rugby is a game of all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, well, even if you look at England, they've got the fast wingers, but they're only slim guys. South Africa's Faf de Klerk, I don't know how tall he is, but
I think he's about 5'7" or something.
Yeah, and he's taking down the biggest guys on the field. So if you get the right training, you can go anywhere really. So.
The combine itself, then, what's the day going to involve? How are you going to go about this?
So I've brought some pretty good people on board, top coaches. So I've got Tom Waterworth, who's been involved in Douglas Rugby Club for years. And I've brought Ben Carling. He's going to be doing our testing. He's got our speed lights, and we're doing our vertical jumps, broad jumps, agility tests. We've got a new guy to the island, Ross Cracknell, who's with Rock Sports Therapy. So we've got him involved. We're going to be working with the kids, doing analysis of their posture, and just make sure that they're doing the right movements, and then what they need to work on. And then we've got an ex-All Black, Mark Robinson, involved, and I've got first team players that will kind of mentor the younger guys on the day. And then we have a physiotherapist that we have there too, just to make sure that everyone's in safe hands.
Do you think it's a challenge at the moment for the island to keep kids interested in rugby, to get them to make that transition from playing at high school into playing for the clubs?
Definitely. You look at, there's so many opportunities in football at the moment with Isle of Man teams and that. With rugby, we've now got the under-18 sevens team, so that's a big ticket to get off island and do a bit of travelling, and there's nothing else really at senior level. So if you look at Douglas Rugby Club, for example, we're one level off being a semi-professional setup, playing in a national division. So that's the aim, but we want to do it with a Manx bred team.
And so the players that you're looking to unearth and attract to the sport, is this going to be specifically for Douglas Rugby Club, or is this more for the island as a whole?
It's more for an island as a whole. We don't want to go out there and tell all the players to come to Douglas. We want to do totally the opposite. These 6 teams on island, so we want to kind of spread them out, but we want to ensure that these kids are getting the best coaching possible. So where we can help out, we will. But yeah, it's just to get more kids involved in rugby.
I think ultimately that does benefit all, doesn't it? Because we see this sometimes with the teams over here, that some of them can struggle to field sides even week to week. And so surely the more people that are involved with the sport, the better it is for the sport as a whole.
Yeah, well, I'm a big believer that you can play more than just one sport. Like, I played tennis and rugby growing up, and I wish I had played football. Like I was saying earlier, I got 2 left feet, so if I had played football, I could have been kicking off both feet and would have increased or broadened my skill set and probably taken me further. So, yeah.
Well, that's the interesting point you make, isn't it? That I think that's much more prevalent these days in sport right across the world, in that younger people, they are encouraged to play more sports because there are many, many skills that can cross over from various different sports.
Yeah, well, we're quite lucky on the Isle of Man because there's so many choices. I hadn't seen too much of men's hockey, but since I've been on the island, I've seen that. And there's so many gifted footballers on the island, and I coached a couple of basketball players at Ballacamine High School a couple of years ago, and they were in the line-out, no coaching, won the ball for us every time. So it does cross over, or the sports do cross over.